Nixon is a graphic designer with over 30 years of experience in creating powerful, compelling visual communications for local, regional, and national companies. Hullabaloo out there, huh? He has been a member of the President's Club Toastmasters in East Cobb for over 4 years, where he has served as Sergeant at Arms and President. This speech is a work in progress. It represents the 5 to 7 minute beginning portion of a 30-minute workshop Tom will give at the upcoming District 14 Fall Conference. The speech is entitled, PowerPoint for Toastmasters, Go from Boring to Brilliance. Please help me welcome Tom Nixon.
How many of us have ever gone into a business meeting and seen a PowerPoint presentation? Anyone? How many of us have walked into a business meeting, seen a slide like this, and knew we were in a big pile of trouble? My fellow Toastmasters, presentations that often start like this often end up like this. We've all been there. We all know how bad they can be. And what I want to do today is I want to talk to you a little bit about how as Toastmasters we can take and add visuals to our presentations without causing this type of disaster that happens. I'm not going to talk about the type of thing that we do when we do workshops and we have a large amount of content that needs to be delivered to a speaker or delivered to your audience. That's a whole different can of worms, as we could say, and would cause a great hullabaloo. What we do need to talk about is that type of small speech that Toastmasters give and how you can use visuals and PowerPoint to add a whole new level of communication to what you're doing. So I'd like to ask, first of all, for a volunteer, somebody who can help me put some information up on the board. I'd like to ask a few questions of the audience. Anybody with good handwriting? Rich, would you like to come up and give me a hand? Please, a warm welcome for Mr. Rich. I think there's a marker right over there, a non-permanent marker, I hope. I guess they got that permanent marking off there. Okay, no. Okay, right at the top of there, just write the word bad. Bad, B-A-D. And I'd like to ask, does anybody here have a bad PowerPoint experience? Tell me something that you really hate about going to a presentation in PowerPoint and just drives you right up the wall. Yes?
They read the slides.
They read the slides. Number one. Yes, that's exactly right. Yes, ma'am?
Too much information on the slide.
Too much information. Oh, I love this. Is just exactly what I've got. Yes, ma'am?
There's always a problem where it breaks down or it just doesn't work.
Technology. Right. Kelly?
Font too small and can't read it.
Font too small and can't read. Anything else? Anything that really just bugs the heck out of you? Yes, ma'am?
Always a little picture in the right lower corner.
Yes. The company's logo or some little cheesy
or just
clip
like
on.
a cheesy clip on.
Yeah.
Somebody has no graphic design experience whatsoever. They've got every mixed color, font, multiple fonts, multiple colors, and they think it's pretty.
Yes. Yes, that's a big problem. Anything else? Yes, ma'am?
Too many movements, things going up and down and arrows.
Yes, too much animation.
Yes.
Anything good? Anybody seen anything good in PowerPoint that they really like? Yes, Kelly?
Gorgeous visuals.
I'm sorry?
Gorgeous visuals.
Good visuals, yes.
A picture.
A picture, okay. Are we getting this, Rich?
Yeah,
A lot of stuff.
It's good.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to cover a lot of this, and we're going to have a question and answer period at the end, and we can discuss some of the things that I may not have gotten to in my presentation. But the first thing I want to talk to you about is I want to talk to you about PowerPoint, the really, really bad stuff. I'm going to give you 3 basic things that you should watch out for, that you should avoid doing. And then we'll go and we'll talk about the good things, some of the things you should keep in your mind kind of as a mindset or kind of as a goal when you're putting PowerPoint together that can help you in a positive way. So let's go with the bad stuff first. Number 1, the worst thing everybody complains about is this. Wesley Widget's mission statement. It is our responsibility, blah, 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 blah.
Not according to Bubba.
Right. Let me tell you the reason why this drives people up a wall. First of all, you've got the words here, you've got the words here, and you've got the words in your mind. Those three things don't match up at all in terms of the speed that you comprehend and the way that you assimilate them. So actually what happens is retention is even worse than if I just put that up there and let you read it yourself. Also, it's the lazy man's way of doing it. If I want to put together a PowerPoint presentation for tomorrow morning in my company, I take a ton of content, I throw it up on the screen, and I read it off the screen, and I'm done. Unfortunately, it doesn't communicate that way. So the first thing you never want to do, you never want to catch yourself reading from the screen. Number two, avoid cheap clip art and cheesy animations. As a matter of fact, I would almost say as Toastmasters, the one thing you want to avoid completely is all animations. Lousy clip art and goofy animations. We've all seen Toy Story or some Disney animated movie or some really good animated thing from Hollywood. We know we can't compete with that. And yet we find these animations in PowerPoint and we think, oh, we're going to just wow our audience to death with them. Well, after about 3 seconds, they're ready to come at you with pitchforks. So there's something to absolutely avoid. Number three, don't try to say too much. This is a slide. This is an actual slide prepared, I believe, for the U.S. Army to talk about how the organization works in Afghanistan. This will give you an idea of one of the reasons why the Army is having a little bit of trouble. Another problem with high content slides is the dreaded bullet list. We've all seen these, and yet everybody seems to be compelled to do them. Bullet lists have a tremendous amount of content in them. If you want to deliver that content, you have to find another way of doing it. You either need to break it up into individual slides, or you need to put it on a handout. There's a general rule that is talked about a lot by people who put together good PowerPoint presentations. And the rule is, on one slide, just one concept and a maximum of 6 words. That's a little bit difficult, but it's a good way a good mindset, a good way to keep your mind thinking about how much content belongs on each screen. Let's get to some of the good things. The first thing about PowerPoint that I want you to remember when you're putting your piece together is that it's really all about you. You're the presenter. You're the person that the people have come to see. They want to hear your ideas. They want to understand your insights into what you're talking about. Use the visuals to back you up, to add an additional level of content to what you're saying. But don't ever lose focus of the things that you're saying, or don't ever lose focus from the screen with the content that's on the screen drawing your attention away from you. Number two, build your speech first. Create your speech almost without even thinking that it's going to have visuals in it. You might want to put a note in there as you're doing it. You might want to add a little parentheses or something to say that add a visual in here. But basically your speech should almost stand on its own without visuals. A great way of doing that is to write your speech in a normal way, the normal way a Toastmaster would write your speech, and then create Post-its. Use a board or a wall in your house. Write a series of Post-its. You can create little graphic images on them, move them around, reorganize them the way you want to do it, and practice your speech that way. Leave the PowerPoint off until the very end, and then use that to assemble your graphics. And number three, use the best artwork you can find. Avoid all that garbage artwork that comes in the box with PowerPoint, with all the other programs. Go out and either find good photographs on stock sites like iStock Photo, or even Microsoft. The Microsoft Clip Art library does have a number of good photographic images that work very, very well with PowerPoint or as visuals to back up what you're saying. There's images that can add humor to what you're doing. There's images that can add a business content. There's images that can even add that touchy-feely thing. I've always found it very useful either to put a baby picture or a puppy picture in PowerPoint. So there's lots of different things we can do. And at this point, basically, I would go into a little bit more detail into each one of the individual components that I would be talking about. This is how I would bring people into this speech. And I would close with basically this quote, which I use a lot. Presentation is the killer skill that we take into the real world. It's almost an unfair advantage. Toastmasters.